Subscribe to Film Companion for your film fix. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Vidya, many congratulations on Mission Mangal.
Thank you.
Biggest hit of your career?
Oh, absolutely, by far.
How exciting.
Very excited, yeah. Because I knew it would do well. Or rather, should I say, I knew it would turn out to be a good film. That was my instinct from the word go. And not once through the process have I felt differently. So I knew it would do well, but this was like, this is really beyond my wildest imagination. It feels great.
I saw it, Vidya, on Sunday morning, 10 a.m. show, and I'm like, Sunday subah kaun aata hai 10 baje film dekhne? It was packed, okay?
Wow.
Packed, and the audience spontaneously broke out into applause at the end of it. One of the scenes I really loved was this bit where your character Tara is talking to her son about A.R. Rahman.
Yeah.
Okay, and she says ki that's the joy.
Yeah.
To be first, to be original.
Yeah.
Apna rasta khud banao.
Khud banao.
Right? I feel like you could have been talking about yourself.
Oh, wow.
No, really,
you.
really. I mean, in the last 14 years, Vidya, you've been instrumental in changing the narrative for women in Hindi cinema. Do you see yourself as a pioneer?
Wow, that sounds great to me. Thank you. But, you know...
हाँ, ये क्या था? I don't know. Space की आवाज़.
I think... you know, it wasn't intentional. So I'm a little, I don't know if I can refer to myself as a pioneer, but I do think there was this hunger in me and to take center stage. So I didn't shy away when the opportunity came my way. Did all kinds of films, and slowly, you know, we started seeing success, and then now there are a whole lot of so-called female-centric films being made, which is fantastic, and they're doing well. So it only widens the scope that much more. But I think it's also about timing, Anu. In all fairness, I think we were ready to tell women's stories. We were ready to watch women take center stage on screen, like we are in the rest of the world, you know, in various professions and various walks of life. So I think that's... So I was at the right place at the right time. And I think that hunger just made sure that when an opportunity came my way, I went at it like a tigress on the prowl.
You know, Tara has no glamour, okay? Tara has no romance. Her love affair is with
Science,
space, with science, with her career, right? And I was just thinking as I was watching it, did you see it as a risky role, and did the presence of Akshay sort of provide some kind of a security blanket?
Oh, it did, for sure, you know, because my fear with a subject like this is that it could get dry, it could get boring, it could get monotonous, heavy. But one, there was Balki. So I've worked with Balki, and I know that Balki has a certain, you know, in his writing, there's a certain relatability and there's a certain inherent humor. And Jagan has got this great sensibility which is in between what you'd call typically artistic and art and commercial, sorry.
Yeah.
So I felt good about that, and then Akshay was the icing on the cake, because I knew that he would bring in also his brand of humor and make it that much more accessible. You know, so I think in terms of that, there was definitely, it felt like, you know, some sort of security. But I wasn't worried about...
You never think like that. You don't say ki, yaar, meri costumes kya hai?
No.
Love affair to kuch hai hi nahi. That husband was just cribbing the whole time.
I found the track lovely, you know, because I see people around me, and I know that this is a very real relationship, you know. People, there is invariably, the woman is shown as the one who's nagging and cribbing, and I found it quite sweet and amusing that here it was a man who had a problem with everything, you know. So first that was like turning things on its head, and she was unapologetically passionate about. So I don't think of, no, I didn't think that it was a risk. I don't even think it crossed my mind, you know, because the primary focus here was on her being the scientist. And this was like the, you know, not the periphery, the other part of her life, which gave it that little cushion, you know, which, but primarily she is a scientist.
You know, you spoke about relatability. So one of the scenes that was most relatable for me was that opening, right? She's cooking, the help hasn't come, everybody needs stuff, they won't even come there to serve themselves. I mean, every woman in the history of mankind has had that emotion and that experience, right? It doesn't matter whether you're a working woman or you're staying at home, whatever it is, right? But I was just thinking, it is a relatable situation, but something about you makes it even more relatable. Vidya, you always feel like one of us.
Thank you. That's a lovely compliment.
How do you do it?
I think I am. I don't know how to say this. I don't want it to come across. I am one of you. You know, I belong to the real world. And I think that's what it is. And I'm constantly observing. I'm constantly absorbing. You know, and I come from a middle class family. So I've seen my mother juggle. I know that, you know, she's passionate about Carnatic music. She's learnt music for years. But she'd have a concert in the evening. You know, we have these annual functions at our music school. And even if she was singing in the evening, she'd make sure that she was doing everything until the moment she left, making sure that she'd even prepared dinner. I've seen these things play out. Now, my sister's a working woman and I see her do that. She has twins, you know, who are 8 and they're very demanding. And because she's a working woman, I think she's spreading herself thin all the time. So she's, of course, she's in advertising and it's extremely demanding and she's doing all that she can, as in she enjoys her job. But on the weekends, she's trying to be trying to make up for those 5 days when she may have come late 1 day or 2 days, you know, plus being the wife, plus being the daughter, plus being the sister and the daughter. And I'm like amazed, you know, she has a pitch. But yeah, I'm talking about day before yesterday, she was taking up their homework, you know, and in between she'd go and take a call, speak to someone from her team, come back and say, okay, so, and I was like, this is it, no, it's happening all around us. So I think.
But Vidya, you've been famous for 14 years now. How has that not changed
but I do
the every woman thing about you?
I don't know. I do everything pretty much myself. I'm very grateful I have people taking care of the house, and you know, I don't have to cook and all of that. These are perks. You know, I don't have to go and shop for vegetables. But I'm very hands-on, I like to get into everything. I'm completely in charge of the house. Thankfully for me, Siddharth's also very particular. So we're both taking care equally, but I'm a little more, I've got OCD. So, you know, and the people I'm surrounded by, I think, are still they're real, regular, non-film, non-stars people.
So you never have moments of arrogance? इतना सोचना पड़ता है.
No.
This is like मुन्ना भाई ना, मैंने झूठ बोला था 19.
No, arrogance as in, I find arrogance
a little bit like, I'm a star types.
I think when I step out and people come up to me and all, I enjoy that. If I'm in a bad mood, maybe I get a bit, but arrogance is very off-putting for me. So I don't think I ever see myself as arrogant. I don't think I'd like myself.
If you were that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The other thing I found amazing was that you could make a joke about your weight in this film.
Yeah.
You know, the lack of vanity is amazing, and I remember thinking about that with the Dirty Picture.
Right.
I remember thinking of how sorted you were about being unattractive on screen.
Right.
You know, they were like, you could see fat, and they would, you were filmed like that because that character was in a very bad place.
Yeah.
When did you arrive at this place where you could be anything that character needs you to be without thinking about mere baal aise hain? I mean, in this film, your hair's all over. You know, you're just trying to get shit done.
Yeah, exactly. I think, you know, I've, growing up, because I was a big girl, I think I grew up feeling unattractive. So when and then of course when I, you know, matured into being a woman and everyone started saying, oh, beautiful and attractive and everything, I felt great about it. But I realized therefore that it's very, you know, I can be this and that. I don't have to be, I can be whatever my character requires me to be, but that's not a judgment on me, the person.
Right.
There's a difference. There's a difference. Yeah. That's the person off camera is Vidya. The person on camera in, you know, in a film as a character is not me. So it doesn't matter what I have. I remember in Kahani 2, you know, Shujoy wanted my skin to be really dry and he just wanted me to be very unkempt. And he kept saying, listen, yeah, I'm sorry, I'll make up to you in the next film. I said, are you mad? I'm loving this. You know, I think it's also the joy of creating another person. You know, of literally living another person's life, of inhabiting that person's world and feeling like, wow, I can also do this. I think it's a high for me.
Right.
So I don't think of it in film. I'm never bothered about how I'm looking. If I'm meant to be looking nice, then I will. But I never look into the mirror. You know, I have my team. I've had my team with me forever. They take great care of me. Plus, I trust the people I'm working with. I never go to the monitor. I think there was a time when I felt very, very ugly. And then I came to accepting myself the way I was, and I realized that I'm fine. You know, someone might find me ugly, but someone else might find me beautiful. Importantly, what matters is how I look at myself. You know, so I think in these 14 years, I've learned all those lessons also, whether it's about my body or my face or so. Therefore, I don't think I'm too attached to
how you look.
Yeah.
What about off-screen, Vidya? Because you said in an interview that it's very liberating to not care about how you look.
Yeah.
But you have millions of followers on Instagram. You do post your looks.
Yeah.
How do you balance all of that?
So I think it's a switch on, switch off.
Is it pressure though?
No, it's not.
It's fun. You like it.
It's fun. I've also begun to enjoy myself more, you know. Yeah. Getting dressed, I have a good team of stylists. I enjoy experimenting with them. I've begun to experiment a little now, actually, and I'm enjoying it. But I'm not someone who, if I'm not in the mood, if I'm stepping out to make an appearance or to an event or something, of course I'll make that effort. But otherwise, if I'm going to the airport, I won't.
You won't?
I won't.
You're not pressurized by the airport look?
No, I'm not. I won't say I'm making an effort now. Maybe now I'm a little more careful that at least my hair should be like brushed out, and otherwise my hair's
for a car look.
Yeah. You know, it's right on top of my head, and I don't tidy myself after I get off a flight and all. Those things I've begun to do.
Sure.
But
that's about it.
Yeah, it's too much of an effort.
Yeah.
You know, because otherwise, if I'm going to be, if I'm going to feel the pressure to constantly be a certain way, then when am I going to be me? You know, and that's very, very precious. So I hold on to that with all my might.
Why have you and Siddharth decided not to work together?
Because I just think it's
too much.
Yeah, it's like I feel, you know, I could have a problem with my director or my producer on another film, and I could, you know, have it off with just not have a fight, but you know.
Do you fight?
No,
I can't imagine.
I don't really fight, but you know, I can.
You argue.
I argue, of course. I argue. I reason. Actually, reason is more like it. But I couldn't do that with Siddharth. When it's so personal, I think, and because I can fight with Siddharth, I'll end up fighting with him.
Better not to go there.
Yeah. I just think it's safer. I want to retain the sanctity of our relationship, of our marriage. There have been a few instances when he's liked a script and I've liked a script, and then, you know, either of us has passed on it. And but it makes me, you know, I can't negotiate monies with him. and yeah, and you know, imagine if he says, you know, but you should be getting this much, and I'm like, I should be getting 10 times that amount. That means you're devaluing me. Then other issues will show up.
Yeah. So this is a lethal conversation.
Yeah. So I don't want to get into that space at all.
But just stay away.
Yeah, you know, like we were seeing each other and we were doing Ghan Chakkar. And I was like, you know, I'm going to leave the film. I called up Ronnie and I said, now we are like properly seeing each other. So, so he said, don't worry, I'll talk to you about everything. You don't have to, you know, really interact with Siddharth or anything. I said, fine. But you know, there were things that I couldn't share with him, even though I wanted to, because it was constantly feeling like, oh, but we've decided.
There are too many wires crossing.
Yeah, too many wires crossing, literally.
Yeah.
And I just want to be able to vent with him when I want to without, you know, and in this profession, I think when we work, it's so close to, it takes so long, we put in so much. I think you lose objectivity after a point. Yeah. I don't want to be in a situation where anything is a threat to our well-being.
Correct. Not worth it.
Yeah. This is too precious for me too.
Yeah, it is too precious. Yeah. Vidya, you'd also said that when there's no pressure to be someplace, you enjoy being in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when did you arrive at this place where there was no pressure to be someplace?
I think I enjoyed that until the Dirty Picture and Kahani happened. You know,
till then there was pressure.
No, there was no pressure.
There was no pressure.
I was blissfully unaware, you know, because I'd done about 7 films, I think, in the first 2 years of my career, but they were bit roles, so you know, I hardly spent any time doing each film. But after that, I went through, you know, that phase of criticism and all that, and then when Ishqiya and all started happening, I was enjoying, you know, the process entirely, being the actor, promoting it, and on the day of release, I'd just like wake up really late at noon or something and had no idea that the economics of it is very crucial.
Right.
Because I would be like, अच्छा मेरा काम हो गया, अच्छा सब अच्छा बोल रहे हैं काम के बारे में, चलो हो गया. But then Dirty Picture and Kahani changed the way I looked at films. You know, suddenly I was thinking, oh, numbers, weekend, opening day, and I think that really, for a while after that, I was only focused on that. So I'd begun to think like, oh, you know, what can I do to make this film more commercial? All sorts of, you know, rubbish, I think. So while these things are important, and when it happens organically, it's great. But I think when you plan it, no, it really doesn't work. Then therefore, after Dirty Picture and Kahani, when I had a spate of flops, I hate to call them flops, but anyway, but when those films didn't work, is when I think by the time my 4th film didn't work, it was Hamari Adhuri Kahani, and I realized that, you know, what am I doing?
And you think that's because you were choosing driven by box office?
Yes.
Genuinely?
Yeah. Genuinely.
Wow.
No, so I was interested by the subject and,
sure.
you know,
but you also saw, you were also thinking, calculating that.
I was calculating, and that cannot be. Yeah. In my opinion, and maybe it works best for me when I'm very instinctive, like with Mission Mangal. You know, it was the first time in my career that I heard a narration and I said, I'm doing it. So, you know, when it works like that, it's great. But when you try and plot and plan and all that, it's just, and then what happens when a film doesn't work, no? It's like the end of a relationship. So suddenly you begin to see, when you break up, you see the person for all his flaws. And then you begin to see the film differently, even if you've enjoyed the process.
Correct. So you undermine that joy as well.
Yeah, because you know, then you think that it was not good throughout, I should have known. And then I said, you know, that's not fair. We've had a good time, we've put out our best. It hasn't worked, and I don't know, you know, it's not like 2 + 2 = 4 works here.
Correct.
So that's when I said, you know, let me forget about all this. What's my dream? I wanted to be an actor. I'm living my dream every single day. So let me do what gives me joy. I'm happiest on a film set. I even enjoy promoting. So all that is fine. After that, I said, Allah Malik.
So अब कोई calculation नहीं है.
अब कोई calculation नहीं. Such में. I remember 2 or 3 days before release, we had an interview where someone asked us, you know, so how do you think the film is going to do? And Akshay and there was Nitya and Kirti, they were like quiet, and I said, I think it's going to do very well on the first day, very, very well on the second day, and very, very, very well on the third day. And Akshay looked at me and he said, you're so confident. I said, yeah, kehne mein kya? I feel it's going to do well. Now, how you define that very well and very, very well is up to you. But I think it's... So he told me that day, he said, tu itni confident thi. I said, you know, but that's what it is. I've not been following the numbers. Siddharth has been following it, obviously, and he tells me these days every morning how much the film has done and all that.
It's like, good morning, 150 crores.
Exactly. I think he's damn excited about it, and of course I'm grateful for the numbers. But it's not like I'm just overwhelmed by the kind of love I'm receiving, you know. I'm getting so many messages, and it's nice, you know, thankfully for me, for most of my films I've received a lot of love. But this kind of overwhelming response where it's both for me and the film doesn't always happen.
Yeah, I think there's been enough times where you're much better than the film. Okay, last question, Vidya. You, in one of those the promotional interviews, pre-release interviews, you said that there's no such thing as a female scientist or a male scientist because in ISRO there is no segregation, you're just a scientist. And you know, that really struck me, that look at the way we do hero and heroine and actor and actress, and here's a place where there is, it's one and the same. Do you think, Vidya, in our lifetime, we will get to that place with movies?
Oh, absolutely.
You think we will?
Oh, absolutely. I think there'll be a day, Anu, when you go into review a film, not a hero-driven film or a female-centric film. You're just going to review a film. I know it's going to happen because in the past 11 years, I've seen a lot change, and I'm very hopeful. I see the glass more than half full. So I really think it's going to happen. You know, it's about time. Look at it. People thought it was probably a phase. There have been phases where female-driven films have done well, but now it's no longer a phase. Yes, the percentage of, you know, or the number of films amongst the 1,000 films that get made a year, the number of female-driven films is still very small. But at least those films get talked about. You know, they're being done by female stars. They're doing a certain amount of business. At least the good ones are, you know. So I think I'm very, very sure. And this sentence actually stayed with me when I spoke to Jagan Shakti's sister, Jagan Shakti being the director.
She's at ISRO.
And she told me, she said, you know, whatever you're doing at home is fine. So her husband's on the ship, so she's pretty much, she handles her kids and her home all by herself. She says, but when you step into ISRO, you're not a male or female scientist, you're a scientist. And I thought that really helped clarify something for me, even about the character. You know, because it's not, her passion for her job is not gender defined in any way. She's just passionate. She's a scientist and she loves what she does. So I think we are getting there. We will get there in our lifetime for sure.
And I know that you will be instrumental in that.
Let's hope so.
I am sure you will be, Vidya. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hi, this is Vidya Balan. If you like this video, please subscribe to Film Companion.